In chapter 42, the excavation site, Volke and the gang disembark from the third abyss, and everybody is like super excited to kick them the hell off the ship. Well, everybody being like Spider. She's really like the only person because the rest of the crew loves Volke. Like they think he's the best thing since sliced bread. Now they do also say, or at least Spider says that they are going to be picking somebody else up and that they didn't make this whole trip all the way out past the Lightning Straits just for Volke. They end up coming to a town that looks like it's been on fire and it's been decrepit and run down and destroyed. And this is where we believe that Zelfrey and Callisto actually grew up at, and there was their hometown. It's sad to see it in ruin, but the other sad part is it is completely and totally overrun by plague-ridden creatures. And we're talking grifter crows, we're talking all the sea creatures. Literally, if there is an Eldrin on this side of the strait, it's probably infected with the plague. So as they're walking, they kind of determine that there's like an aura that's keeping everybody at bay. And Fane just kind of like whips around with a knife ready to go and points it at this random person that's walking behind them. And I love the interaction of just, who are you? And it's the guy with the really small top hat. He's just like, oh, I'm Karna's doppelganger. Nice to meet you guys.
You met me before in about 12 different forms.
Right. You don't recognize me because I've always just integrated with somebody else. So, and they're like, okay, well, what's your name? And this is where it's very fun interaction because they keep her doppelganger and Karna are just like having this silent conversation between the two of them, and they finally are just like, it's Karr. Yeah, it's Karr. Like,
and it makes me wonder, if that's the name they agreed on, like, what's the real name if it's not it? Or does the doppelganger just not have a name? And
like, what would she call her doppelganger outside? Like when she's alone in her quarters with her doppelganger, not entertaining guests.
I don't know. It's strange, but it definitely seemed like they were trying to figure out a name on the spot. Like, oh, we forgot we didn't really have one of these before.
Adelgis has a comment to make that he actually is not able to read minds since they have stepped off the ship. And again, this is where they lead to believe that there's an aura in place preventing not only Adelgis from not being able to read minds, but also keeping all of the plague-ridden creatures at bay, because again, there's all of the bird arcanists or bird eldrin that could just very easily go over and infect Karna and Adelgis, but they don't even move to a try. So Karna does actually take this opportunity that Moonbeam doesn't have the ability to read her mind. So she asks Moonbeam who his perfect companion is. And just as awkwardly as we could expect from Moonbeam, he says his sister. And I could hear the record scratching, like stopping, like, wait, what? And he has to backstep real quick, like, whoa. I wanted to say that Addie would be her personality and everything is what I would like in a companion, but obviously not Addie or my sister. I don't want to upset Volke by saying Addie. So I said my sister, but I promise I'm not like that, okay?
He's really trying to backpedal, and he even comes up with, ever since the leech, he doesn't really even seek out companionship. He kind of wants to just try and heal on his own. So he's been even more of an avoidant than he was, prior to the leech.
That'd be a really awkward conversation to have of like, oh yeah, I hosted a leech for several years of my life. So as they're talking about this, there's a woman that actually arrives on a kirin, and my first thought went to, I wonder if this is another one of Theasin's mistresses, since it seems like he's got his new Nora person, he's got his Elios person, so
He likes Minerva owls though, so
yeah, that's a good point.
Kirin just won't do it. Doesn't fit his type.
I mean, she could have been a Minerva owl arcanist with the Kirin.
She could.
I wonder if she would be his favorite.
Oh yes.
She could empower. Oh Lord.
Yep, he's getting empowered, that's for sure.
Well, we do kind of figure out that her name is Orwin, and unfortunately for Theasin, Orwin is pretty much like a space cadet, so I don't think she could make it as a Minerva Owl Arcanist. She kind of, I hate to use the word ditzy, but she just kind of seems like she's out in left field a lot.
She's playing on a different court than the rest of everyone else.
That's a good way to put it. Everybody's playing baseball and she's over playing basketball. Like,
yes,
we do actually learn the Kirin's name, which is Lith, and she just kind of like, yeah, we're expecting you. Come on, you're just gonna follow me now. So they finish walking to the rest of the way, and they're getting basically closer and closer to these bonfires that are billowing smoke. They finally get to the excavation site, and there's actually 4 bonfires lit. And it's basically described as a massive rectangular excavation site. I'm thinking like Indiana Jones level, just workers everywhere. As Volke is looking around, he notices that Karr has disappeared, but they've been passed by several people, so who knows who Karr is or where Karr is now or what he's doing. I'm curious, I'm sorry to sidetrack here. I wonder if Karr doesn't have an official name, because like whatever person he's turning into is his name. Like that's who he is during that time.
It's very possible. He just goes by whatever he happens to be in the form of. So
it's just easier for him, so he doesn't ever like slip up and like not pay not alert to his name. She takes Volkengang to Theasin, who is in the warehouse, and Theasin is not happy at all to see Adelgis. Theasin did seem kind of relieved that Adelgis had the ability to deduce his whereabouts, even though, again, Theasin doesn't want him to be there, or particularly want him to be there. But Theasin does have a cure to the plague.
He does also make this comment that he's disappointed why Adelgis showed up. You know, he could have showed up for the power of magic or searching some greater selfish goal, but the fact that he's doing it to help his friend is apparently not a good reason for Theasin why you should be doing something.
And with that concludes this week's episode of chapters 41 through 45. And next week we are going to be doing our last section of Plague Arcanist. We're doing 46 through 50. And then after that, we will have the episode of the tabletop game that Zerza, or his name is Chad, sits down and talks with us about his tabletop game for the Frith Chronicles and his ideas on that, Shammy's thoughts on it. In, I believe, a week or two from the airing of this episode in particular, time marked Warlock will be released for audiobook and in the actual book itself. If you are an ARC member or if you order directly from Shammy, she has some absolutely amazing looking metal bookmarks that she will send to you, along with her really, really cool pillar quote boxes. So there's that. And if you want to check out her other works, she's got plenty of other things along with the Frith Chronicles, not even just within the series of this one, but the Nexus games, Half-Life, Empire, Starmark, pretty much any genre you want as far as fantasy goes. She does kind of write a little bit of.
Eric, Scott, and I want to thank everyone for listening today. We post a new episode every Wednesday morning at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard Time. We are on all podcasting platforms and are also on YouTube as well for video. After the additional episode airs, we post chapter-by-chapter videos every day in a smaller, easier-to-digest format. We do want to give a special shout-out to the final member of our team, Dan Mackison, one of the admins for the Frith Chronicles Wiki, link listed below, and doing his best to keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. If you want to reach out to us, you could email us at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or any other social media by searching for Frith Guild Podcast. Just to remind everybody, we have links to everything in the description below on both the podcast and YouTube. Scott, do you have anything else you want to add this week?
It's very close to finishing the fourth book. It's crazy how fast it goes through.
Oh my goodness! And we would be halfway through the series at the end of this one, so we're coming up on 8 months of recording.
Jeez.
And we're about halfway through the series, so we do appreciate everybody for listening on, and we look forward to hearing from you next week. Thank you. Welcome back to the Frith Guild Podcast. I'm your host, Eric. And today we'll be going over chapters 41 through... That was rude.